The Radical. Fundamental principles of freedom, rational self-interest, and individual rights. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Yaron Brook Show, a special edition. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you're all of you in America at least. It is an American holiday. We'll talk about that. Hope you're all you Americans, having a fantastic day, opportunity to get together with people you love, whether they be family, friends, and have a great meal. I think a big part of Thanksgiving is eating, is eating good food with great company, having lots of conversation. Don't fight about politics. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Walk away. Walk away. Thanksgiving. This is a great holiday, great time of year. I've said before, I love the period between Thanksgiving and New Year's. It's really, things seem to slow down a little bit, and particularly this year where I'm not traveling, they're going to slow down. And it's a time for reflection, a time for planning for the future, a time of catching up on all the stuff you didn't do the whole year and you need to get done. So it's a time to do that. And it all starts with Thanksgiving. It starts with this day where, again, you celebrate with people you love, hopefully, and you eat a big meal. What better way to celebrate than big and tasty, hopefully. Hopefully you guys know how to make turkey tasty. That takes extraordinary skill. Very, very rare in my experience to get tasty turkey. It would be good if Thanksgiving changed the centrality of the turkey and brought in something a little bit more flavorful and more juicy to the table. But anyway, good food, good company. It is great. Jennifer loves turkey. Here we're gonna massively disagree, Jennifer. I just don't get the attraction of turkey. It's pretty flavorless and usually quite dry. But yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this holiday called Thanksgiving. I mean, a holiday was made. The holiday was made officially a government holiday, a holiday of the United States by our first president, by George Washington. It was very much imbued with religion at the time. There was really a lot of in the proclamation that he makes. There's a lot about thanking God and thanking Providence and God makes many appearances in this. And even if you go back to I guess the Pilgrims, the first Thanksgiving dinner supposedly is about thanking God for the harvest. But I don't think that's how it's morphed. I think it's very much adopted kind of a very secular perspective on being thankful and on the bounty which one celebrates during the meal. If you've never seen a movie called Shenandoah, if you haven't seen a movie called Shenandoah, definitely worth seeing, particularly the first half. The second half is quite depressing, but it's a good movie. I mean, even the depressing part has value, and it's the first part is amazing. And there's a scene where Jimmy Stewart, who's the patriarch of the family, his wife has passed away, and his son's at the table, and I guess his daughter-in-law, and they're saying grace, and this I always remember this during Thanksgiving, and they're saying grace over the meal, and he says, I don't really want to say grace, but my wife, before she died, she had me promise that I would raise you guys as Christians, I guess, as religion, with religion. And clearly he is not religious. And the grace goes something like this, And this is, I think, really what Thanksgiving is all about, and what grace should be all about, to the extent that anybody says grace. It goes something like this. We plowed the earth. We got up in the mornings and we planted the seeds. We harvested the crops and sold it at markets, and we, raised the chickens and got the whatever. We did this. It is a consequence of all of our actions, of what we have done. All the food on this table is a product of what we have done, our productive work. I'm putting maybe a little bit of words into his mouth, but basically that's what he's saying. And then it ends with, and God, thank you anyway. So, I think it captures. I need to get the actual language of the. Let's see if I can pull it up. I wonder if we could, there's video of it, but let's see if we've got the text. Yeah, we're not going to get the text for it. Well, maybe this is it. Here you go. Here. This is good. Lord, we cleared the land, we plowed it, sowed it, and harvested it. We cooked the harvest. It wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be eating it if it hadn't been, if we hadn't done it all ourselves. We worked dog bone hard for every crumb and morsel. But we thank you just the same anyway, Lord, for the food we're about to eat. Amen. I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect. I think it captures, Thanksgiving. So yes, there's a religious element. Yes, they all want to thank God for everything. But the reality is that to the extent that you have built a home, that you have bought a home and you have created a life, and Thanksgiving is to celebrate all of that. It's the home that you have, the life that you have created, whether it's with a partner, with a loved one, with kids, but it's something you created, you worked on, you produced, and then it's about the bounty on the table, the plenty on the table. There's always too much food during Thanksgiving, and there's a reason there's too much food, because it's a celebration of plenty. It's a celebration of the bounty of our own production, of what we have earned, of what we've created, of what we have produced. And of course, beyond the food, it's the place, it's the ability to sit and eat in comfort, and everything that goes into that. It is ultimately a celebration of successful production. This is Ayn Rand on Thanksgiving, and I think she really does capture it. She says Thanksgiving is a typical American holiday. She italicized American. Thanksgiving is a typical American holiday. In spite of its religious form, giving thanks to God for good harvest, it's essential. Secular meaning is a celebration of successful production. It's a producer's holiday. The lavish meal is a symbol of the fact that abundant consumption is the result and reward of production. Abundance is, or was, and ought to be, America's pride. Just as it is the pride of American parents that their children need never know starvation. I mean, that is a beautiful capturing of what I think Thanksgiving is about. It is linked to production because it is linked to the harvest. It is linked to the food on the table. It is linked to one's ability to feed one's family and to feed one's kids, and to produce and to enjoy the bounty of one's production. It is a consumer's holiday. It's We're consuming what we produced, right? We're eating it. Eating is consumption. Generally, consumption is destroying the stuff that you've produced, right? So, in that sense, it really is it's a beautiful holiday. It's a holiday to contemplate the things that you are thankful for that have made it possible for you to sit and enjoy the meal and enjoy the company of the people around you. And it is an opportunity to contemplate your success in life or your future success in life, your plans to be successful. But it's about being successful. It's about, abundance. And of course, there's no country in human history with more abundance than the United States of America. There's no country in human history that has produced as much as America. America is the land of abundance because it is the land of production. And therefore, it is very much an American holiday. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But it's a great time to celebrate capitalism. In many respects, this is Capitalism Day because production at the end of the day is really abundance in production. I mean, remember the Pilgrims. God, I mean, the Pilgrims tried socialism, right? And what, half of them died? I mean, it was some horrific number died. The Pilgrims had a horrible time. And it's the abundance that we have today, the abundance that America has had since really its founding, the amazing quantity and quality of production that is America is a consequence of whatever freedom has been allowed, or whatever capitalism has been embraced. We live in one of, probably historically the freest country in human history. We live in the country that's come closest to abiding by the principles of capitalism. We live in a country that has respected, for the most part, on and off, property rights. We've lived in a country that has, relatively speaking, left individuals free in their productive endeavors to pursue their own values, their own ideas, their own dreams, to fail and to succeed. And it's that freedom. It's that element, that bit of capitalism in our culture, in our world, in our country, in America, that we should be celebrating on this day with a goal, a goal looking into the future, of having more of it, of fighting for it, of establishing it as the way in which we all live, and the way in which recognizing the value of it so that we can expand it, not shrink it. But yeah, this is a day to contemplate capitalism, to contemplate the beauty, yes, beauty, the aesthetic beauty that the system is, and the abundance, wealth that it is made possible. And in that sense, it's a day to contemplate America and what this country is and what it stands for, particularly in these stormy, difficult times when the notion of America is slowly slipping through our fingers and disappearing and being taken over, the notion of America, by elements that are just wrong, worse than wrong, fundamentally anti-American. So what makes this abundance possible, is the American principles, the principles that define this country, the principles of individual rights, of all men, the idea that all men are created equal not in their opportunities, not in their outcome, equal in their rights, equal in their freedoms, equal in their liberties, equal before the law being that which protects their rights and their liberty. The ideal of America is the capitalist ideal in which government protects the right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, and otherwise leaves us the hell alone. In Thanksgiving, where we are benefiting from the abundance created by being left alone, is the time to remember that and to celebrate it and to tell our kids that story and to emphasize it out there, without getting into political arguments. It's not a time for politics. It's a time for principles. It's a time to remember and resurrect and bring back those great principles of America. So there is Thanksgiving, I think, is multi-leveled. I, for example, am incredibly thankful to America. I am an immigrant to this country. And I came here young, married, but with no kids. I've had kids here. I built my career here. I did my education here. I have flourished in this country. And I intend to have an abundant meal today. Abundant consumption. Yes. As a consequence of the fact that I have flourished in this country. And I'm thankful to the founders. I can't say I'm particularly thankful to any politician that has governed this country since I came. They've all been dramatically less than good. But I'm truly thankful. And this is a good day to remember this, to the founders and a system of government they created that has lasted now coming up to 250 years. And yeah, it's imperfect. And yeah, certainly in modern times it has descended and moved away from what they created. But they created such a beautiful thing, such a powerful system of government, such an amazing constitution and declaration and spirit, maybe more than anything else, a spirit that has allowed this country to continue to be the land of abundance, to continue to be the land of successful production, to continue to be the land of Thanksgiving, to continue to be the land that, we all, as individuals, can actually, in spite of all the bad, we all can flourish in, can succeed in, can raise families in, build careers in, produce, create, build, and consume, have great meals in, and buy fun stuff in. Tomorrow's Black Friday, more consumption. Just, I'm really happy with Black Friday that you can do stuff online because, one of my commandments in life is thou shalt never go shopping on Black Friday. Nothing is worth it. No discount in the world is worth going to a mall or a store on Black Friday. So, we live in a country where you can still consume, you can still create the wealth that makes it possible for you to consume aplenty and live well. Live well. And Thanksgiving and I guess Black Friday are good reminders and illustrations of that. Good reminders and illustrations of that. So I'm thankful to the founders and thankful to Americans who have built this country, particularly the great producers, the great innovators, the 19th century so-called robber barons, the people who built great industries, the people who went out there into the prairie, into the unknown, and built a life, and then built a country. And, the great industrialists who made this country. There is no America. I mean, I love the Founding Fathers, and they created this country, no question. But what makes America America? What makes America America? what makes America the land of production and the land of abundance and the land of consumption and all of this, what makes that all possible are the great producers. And what makes it, everybody loves the founding fathers. But what makes it important to remember the great producers is that they've always been hated. They've always been despised. They've always been put down. They've always been ridiculed. They were called, and still are called, the robber barons, robbers, barons, aristocrats, when they're the opposite of robbers and the opposite of barons. Many of them started with nothing and rose up and created, all of them created the wealth. They didn't steal it. They didn't take it. They created it. And by creating it, they made so many people around them wealthy as well. That to call them robber barons is one of, if not the greatest injustice in all of history that I can think of. I mean, these great men of industry and men of business, really, because it's bankers and merchants and, imagine the guy, the Sears and Roebuck and how that made life in the late 19th century, early 20th century so much easier for Americans when they could get a catalog and they could order stuff by mail. They weren't dependent on that, little hardware store down the road or miles and miles and miles away from where they lived in the case of the prairies, right? I mean, Sears Roebuck are just as productive as any industrialists. We worship manufacturing in this country. We worship industry in this country. But the reality is that it's business we should worship. Any kind of business, including, God forbid, services. Like Sears Roebuck is services. I don't think they've ever gotten the credit they deserved, just like Amazon never gets the credit they deserve in making our life so much better. So I'm thankful to all the great businessmen in American history, from J.P. Morgan to Sears to Singer, who built the sewing machines and made a fortune off of sewing machines, to Carnegie Steel, to Rockefeller Oil, to what's his name, Carrier, who designed the first air conditioning. I benefited enormously. Couldn't live here in Puerto Rico without that one. And you could go on and on. It's a great day to remind yourself of all the people who made the modern world possible. And we, or I encourage you at least, not to think of the people who made the modern world possible as politicians or generals or the greatest generation or any BS like that. The people who made the modern world possible are the billionaires or their equivalent in American history. They are the people who created the wealth that made America, created the wealth that made the West. The West is nothing if not for the wealth that it has. Whatever spiritual values associated with that are ultimately the result of the wealth that was created. So who built America? Who made America? It's the wealth producers, the wealth creators, the builders, the makers. You want inspiration in life, and there's too little inspiration. You want heroes. You want to admire people as this young generation searches for meaning. Well, one place you can find that meaning, one place you can find heroes, one place you can find role models, find people who found their purpose and pursued their purpose, is in the great business leaders of America, from Jeff Bezos to Steve Jobs to there's a whole mid-century there with lots of businessmen whose names unfortunately have been forgotten, to Ford and again Carnegie and Mellon and J.P. Morgan. Michael Milken. There's another one. There's another banker. We need some bankers in this, but definitely Michael Milken. These are real heroes. You want a role model for masculinity? Again, we're on the theme of meaning, a generation that cannot find meaning, or a generation that's been told that the only way to find meaning is by looking out there over something bigger than yourself. No. No, you want to find meaning? Explore the lives, particularly in their careers, of these great innovators, great builders, great creators. Building, creating, making, doing, producing. That gives life meaning. Edison, yeah, I mean, you guys can add names. I'm just rattling off on the top of my head, so happy to add names that you guys can come up with on the chat. I think of the founders of Intel and the creators of the microprocessor and the builders, Fairchild Semiconductor, the first building. I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with Tesla and Musk, but I mentioned Jeff Bezos, Ronald McDonald. Some of you like fast food, but good. This is the time. The people behind Costco, Walmart is Sam Walton. I mean, Sam Walton. God, has he changed America? Reduced the cost of living for so many Americans, allowed them to benefit from and embrace abundance, even when they're not rich, wealthy. Vanderbilt. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. These are, and these are many of them, not all of them, but many of them start with nothing. They're like Horatio Alger stories, but in real life. They start with nothing, and they make something of their lives. And then you get whiny Gen Zers and millennials and a lot of boomers just who can't stop to complain about their life. Can't stop to complain about the world. Can't stop to complain about the lack of meaning and the lack of this and the lack of that. Go make it. Go create your world. Go build it. Stop sitting on your bum. Get up and do stuff. Use your mind. Use your reason to make a life, to build a life, to create a life. Nothing in this life is not just going to be handed to you on a silver platter. And if you wait for it to be handed on a silver platter, yeah, you will not go anywhere. You will be miserable. And suddenly you're not going to find meaning sitting and doing nothing. Walt Disney, Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, I mean, these are producers, people who made something of their lives. Lucille Ball, she was funny. She was so hysterical. Yeah, she was amazing. There's some scenes from the Lucille Ball show that are just classics. So be thankful to the great producers, including the producers who produce today. And yeah, we don't live in a free market. And yes, the Fed distorts prices, and maybe in a free market, they wouldn't have quite as much money as they do today. Maybe they'd have more. I don't know. But in spite of all the hardship, in spite of the craziness of the world, in spite of the insanity, in spite of Washington, D.C., they build and create. So, celebrate. Thanksgiving is a great day to celebrate producers, to celebrate innovators, and be thankful. I'm thankful to the founders, and I'm thankful to the producers who built America, to the business people who built America. This is the anti-Marxist day. I think we can all be thankful to the great geniuses who created and led great companies. Even their employees who sit with abundance on their table not as people being exploited, but as traders. As traders. So I'm thankful to this country, to its founding, to its producers. Of course, I'm thankful to Ayn Rand, without whom I have no idea what my life would be like. Hard for me to exactly say, but it would not be anywhere near what it is today. She helped me shape a fantastic life. She gave me the inspiration to go out and live with a capital L, to pursue knowledge, to pursue my own happiness, to pursue, individual flourishing, to pursue success at living, success in what you do. So, So I'm deathly thankful to Ayn Rand, who taught me what I know, and to Leonard Peikoff, her student and my teacher. So I'm thankful to everything his friendship, but even more importantly, in many regards, the fact that he was a great teacher and taught me this philosophy and taught me to all of that. So Ayn Rand, Leonard Peikoff, where would all of us be without them? Thankful. This is a day to say thanks to the people who've shaped your life or helped your life or made life possible, made success in life possible, made that abundance possible. I'm, thankful to everybody at the Ayn Rand Institute who's, again, helped me become who I am, helped me to do what I do. And taught me and educated me and inspired me. There were a lot of them, so I'm not going to name them, but they're all in my thoughts. So yeah, this is a holiday to exactly reflect on that. Who's had an impact on your life? Who really shaped what you've become? I mean, you obviously. You should thank yourself. Thank yourself. Thank you, me. But then you should think about, the people around you, the people in your life. Your parents maybe. They might be super important. A teacher, somebody who's inspired you, somebody who's changed your life in many ways. I mean, if you really wanted to make a list, it's very difficult to make it comprehensive. It includes the artists who inspired you. It includes the novelists who wrote the great books that made you feel a particular way and shaped who you are. The makers of movies, and of course, as we said, so producers in the realm of aesthetics, in the realm of philosophy, in the realm of ideas, as well as anybody, everyone else. Deeper with Diego says, thank you, GameGate feminists who pushed me away from the left, which eventually got me to find Leonard Peikoff. That's pretty funny. Yeah, sometimes you should be thankful for the people who shook you into realizing maybe that you're on the wrong path in life. Of course, I'm incredibly thankful to my wife, who's been by my side, for a very long time, for over 4 decades now. We got married pretty young and has, been a partner, an essential partner in everything that I've done, So again, this is the day. Make a list. Being thankful is really important. It's important for a number of different things, right? It's important for, it's an act of justice. It's an act of justice, even if the other partner never even hears you make the thanks, right? Even if you're just doing it in your own head. The very fact that you are doing it, you are acting out justice. You're saying thank you where thank you belongs. And you know, that is an immense act of justice. It's it's an act of integrity, and you should feel good about yourself. Just going through in your own mind the people that you are thankful to, even though, like the founding fathers, Ayn Rand, I'll never be able to say thank you to them. I say thank you to Leonard whenever I see him, but the many people you're never going to be able to say thank you to. And yet, just going through it and recognizing that in your own mind is a huge boost to you. To you. It's an act of justice, and it's an act of just recognition of reality. It's a rational thing to do because, you know, while you do build it yourself, you do create yourself, you do make choices yourself, all of us basically stand on the shoulders of others. Again, we wouldn't be where we were without Aristotle, and without the founders, and without Ayn Rand. And recognizing that is just, again, act of objectivity. Being objective about your own life and being objective about the world in which you live. So, again, things that are good to reflect on this day of Thanksgiving. You know, I've had great business partners in my life. I never understood. You know, people always tell you in business, never partner with a friend. Never go into business with a friend. And that is the most bizarre piece of advice I can think of. Just a bizarre piece of advice. Because the reality is, who would you rather go into business with than a friend? I mean, the business has to make sense, and your friend has to have the skills to contribute to the business. But who would you want to go into business with other than a friend? Who would you want to go through the rough times that businesses always go through, other than somebody you respect and share basic fundamental values with, because you're friends? So, Robert Hendershot, who some of you know, is being my business partner, was my business partner. We finally dissolved the business last year, but we were business partners for 26 years. And good friends for probably 30 years. Still good friends. Still good friends, not business partners anymore. And he's going through really rough times right now. And yeah, I mean, this is a great time to be thankful for having great business partners and having great friends. And that combination is just important and emotionally so gratifying. So recognize it. You know, think about the friends you have. You know, I'm grateful for a number of friends that I have and that I've had for a long time. The friends that I have, particularly my close friends, you know, one of them goes back to Israel, another one goes back to the days in Texas, and you know, it goes back a long time, and that's incredibly valuable. Funnily enough, I have no friends, literally no friends. I have no contact with anybody from like high school or middle school or primary school or any school, and I've really I no desire for that. All my friends are kind of post-adulthood, post-discovering Ayn Rand, post-becoming, you know, who I am, I guess, and then becoming who they are. It is kind of funny that I know a lot of people who have friends going back to middle school and primary school or whatever. It's not me. Not me. Yeah, be thankful to your friendships. All right, so, but more than anything, I want to return to the essence. More than anything, be thankful to the producers and be thankful to yourself and to the people in your life that make production possible, whether you are the producer, whether you're supporting the producer, or whether you're a child of a producer. Today is the day where abundance is put on the table, where we enjoy that abundance. Tomorrow is the day where we use our credit cards to make our abundance clear on Black Friday. But it's a couple of days of abundance, and we should celebrate. I mean, really make an effort to celebrate successful production, abundance and wealth creation more broadly. This is a great day to celebrate your life, what you've made of it, or what you are going to make of it. It's a day to celebrate wealth creation, the creation of wealth, the creation of that abundance. So happy Thanksgiving, all of you. And of course, my last thank you is to all of you. Thank you for listening, for participating, for asking questions, for challenging me, for, being who you are and supporting the show, making it possible. Couldn't exist without you. Whether, those of you particularly who support it financially, whether it's on a monthly basis, whether it's once in a while, whether it's super chats or stickers, however you ultimately do it, the very fact that you guys support the show is what makes it possible. It is your recognition of what I am producing, which is the show, and my talks and things like that. And I greatly appreciate it. So thank you. You guys represent an immense value to me. I couldn't be one of the things I like about doing live shows, right, as compared to tape shows and then they just go up, is in spite of the fact that most of you listening have never been on a live show and so on, the fact that there are people live inspires me and helps me and motivates me to do these things. It makes it much easier than if I was just speaking to a camera and it would go up online at some point. So thank you all for tolerating my technical problems and my once in a while saying something that's not true. Hopefully I try to always correct it after the fact. Thank you for tolerating my indulging some of the weirdos who appear on the chat and and I get into arguments with. I know some of you cringe when that happens. I appreciate you being you having the patience and sticking around. I know some people didn't stick around; they're gone. Thank you for being a great audience. You couldn't do it without the audience. And Jennifer thanks me for blocking Scott. I'm thankful for blocking Scott as well, and a few others. There are a number of them now that are blocked. Although Scott might be here under a pseudonym, you always get a sense that maybe he reappears out of the doldrums over there. So somewhere, maybe coming to get a little educated. All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We've got a bunch of questions. You can keep asking them. Some of the questions on this, some of the questions on other things, and we've got some questions on Gaza and questions on other stuff. I'll take questions on anything, I guess. So feel free to jump in with any questions you might have. We've got plenty of time. I don't have to go to dinner for a while still. I did the show a little earlier than usual because I figured you guys all had dinners you had to get to. I hope you do. I hope you all have dinners you have to get to. So I appreciate that. All right, let me be particularly thankful right now to to some of my biggest regular financial supporters. Troy is here with $500 as he is every month, more than once usually. Plus, he's a monthly contributor. So thank you, Troy. Really thankful to you and your consistent support and generous and consistent support. So thank you. Troy writes, I may be an Aussie, but I love and try to live that original American spirit. I am truly thankful for Ayn Rand and now Yaron, who encourages me to live that benevolent life. Thank you, Troy, and absolutely. And here's the thing, and this is what I keep emphasizing during this assault by those who would want to turn America into a blood and soil country. You can be an American and live anywhere. America is a spirit. America is a set of ideas that manifests itself in a certain spirit for living, in a certain sense that everything is possible to you, that the world is open, that it's yours for the taking, and life is to be embraced and lived fully, and it's you are going to do that. It's this idea that you are going to step out there and engage with the world and be successful. It's that benevolence. All based on understanding where that comes from. It comes from a particular political principles that make it possible to live in such a world. And that's America. And if you hold those ideas, even if America won't let you in for a variety of reasons, or even if you've chosen to stay where you are for a variety of reasons, family, or business, it could be a lot of things why you stay where you are and don't come to this country, particularly as it descends into what it is becoming. You are still an American, at least in spirit, and in my mind, you're still an American. And to me, that is what America is really about. That's why it should be, as open as possible to new Americans coming here, new people manifest that spirit coming here, maybe we can still save this country and still bring all that spirit back and bring all those people who believe in this to this wonderful country, whether to visit or to stay. Thank you, Troy. Really, really, really appreciate it. Let's see. Andrew, who, God, is there every single show, basically with a bunch of questions and, a bunch of dollars. So really, really appreciate it. Andrew says, Rand was asked what's wrong with giving God gratitude. She says something like, you mean if you do something wrong, it's your fault, but if you do something good, you owe God? See what it does to your self-esteem. Take credit for your achievements. Yeah. I mean, I think I always notice this in sports, right? I mean, it's a great thing for her to say. And of course, I mean, another problem with it is you're giving gratitude to a non-being, somebody that doesn't exist. But think about all these athletes who kick in a goal or catch a touchdown pass or hit a home run, and they immediately thank God or Jesus or something like that. They don't blame God when they strike out. They don't blame God when they drop the pass. They don't blame God when they miss the penalty kick. They don't blame God for their failings. That they take on themselves. But their successes, that somebody else did. And it's not even that their failures are like, oh, it's the devil. The devil did it. I mean, at least then they're neutral. They're not participating. God, but they take on the failings themselves, which is destructive to self-esteem when you're not willing to take on the achievement. I mean, you should take on the failing when you fail, but only if you're willing to also accept the achievement. You have to be objective about yourself and your soul and who you are and what you are. So absolutely, not taking credit for your achievement is destructive to your self-esteem. Self-esteem ultimately comes from having values, achieving them, recognizing the achievement. In a sense, it comes from a little pat on the back that you give yourself, not other people. Other people can't give you self-esteem. Other people recognizing your achievement won't do anything. You literally have to take the act of saying, I did that. Cool. I'm capable. I'm competent. I can achieve stuff. I got my values. This is great. Michael, who might be, is, I'm without any question, the person who's done most super chats, dollar-wise, and maybe just quantity-wise, just in terms of the number of questions, than anybody on my channel ever. And maybe, given super chat out there in the world, maybe, in all of YouTube's history. I don't know. We have to ask YouTube if they can produce such a list for us. But Michael, thank you You've been here for a long time now, and you're there every day almost, and you ask a ton of questions, and you put your money where your values are, and you fund this show. So thank you. So let's see. Now that the one Gaza is over, has anti-Semitism reached its apex? Will things start calming down? It's hard to know if MAGA phenomena is an arbitrary blip or the beginning of the end. On the cheery note, happy Thanksgiving. On that cheery note, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Michael. I don't think it's going to go away on the right, and I think it's going to be on the left. It'll still be there. It'll just be buried a little bit because they won't have an excuse. On the right, it is very much now part of a culture that views Jews as controlling this country, as manipulating politicians, as controlling industry, whether it's Wall Street or other places. I mean, Nick Fuentes talks about this. Tucker Carlson implies it all the time. And it's also connected on the right with Christianity. And that is not going to go away, right? This idea that, and this is the idea I think motivates Tucker in his Christian mode, and it's the idea that it motivated Christian anti-Semitism from the beginning. And that the idea is that Jews have been exposed to Jesus. They witnessed his miracles. They've had an opportunity to read the New Testament, and yet they reject him. They reject him. And that makes them particularly evil, right? And if you go back to the beginning, they were there when he was crucified. And that didn't wake them up. They refused to see the truth. The truth was right staring them in the face, and they refused it. And that makes them bad. That makes them evil in some way. And that really is the beginning of real anti-Semitism, that conception. And in that sense, that is still hardened on the right. That is getting harder, more hard. You're seeing more and more pastors out there kind of saying things like, yeah, Jews can still live here and peacefully, but they shouldn't be able to hold public office. Which is, going back to old Christian views. They and they shouldn't be allowed to be so successful. On the left, it's just not going away because Jews are successful. Israel's not going away, so Israel will keep being there. It just won't have the same energy behind it because the particular concrete on television that gets people out to the streets will disappear. That is Gaza. But the philosophy of left and right has not changed. The fundamental ideas have not changed. And those fundamental ideas place Jews in opposition to MAGA and in opposition to the far left. And therefore, it's going to continue. It's going to exist. Israel would have to disappear for it to be mitigated a little bit. But as long as Israel's around, yeah, it's right there in their face. They're not going to let go of it. Thank you, Michael. Wes, who's also here almost every day with a sticker usually, and once in a while a comment or question. One of the financially biggest supporters of the show on at least in Super Chat. Thank you, Wes. Wes says, "Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you and your shows. They help keep me informed and sane." It is my pleasure, and I'm happy to know that I contribute to sanity for many of you, and that is part of it. That is meaningful and important to me. It keeps me motivated. And look, doing these shows, the reality is that doing these shows is part of what makes me sane. It helps my sanity, because otherwise I'd just be yelling at myself inside my head. This way I can yell into a microphone and you respond, and that makes it so much easier to cope with the insanity that is the world in which we live. Being alone inside your own head makes it much harder. Having, in a sense, a community, having somebody you can talk to about it, having somebody who shares your perspective, and is willing to listen and often agrees, that is unbelievable, unbelievably valuable, and unbelievably valuable. So you guys help me stay sane. Help me not get, down the rabbit hole of how how depressing the global situation is. So thank you, all of you, for listening, for participating, for asking questions, for being in the chat, for listening on the podcast, listen after fact, making comments, whatever it is that you do. Again, you make this show possible, but also you make my sanity possible. If I didn't have an audience, I don't know what I do. Yelling, what's that? The Tempest, a Shakespeare play where the lead character is yelling into the storm, right? Nobody can hear you. There's a storm going on. You guys are hearing me. That's an immense value to me. So thank you. Molten Splendor. Can't get over how much I love that name. I own a world-renowned glass website. L-O-E-T-Z. Loetz is considered a valuable, accurate, and reliable resource. Access is free and donations encouraged. While a thank you for my time and research answering emails is suggested, even written generosity is lacking. Ideas why? All right, let me see if I can understand the question, because it is not very clear. It's not very clear. I own a world-renowned glass website. Loetz, what's Loetz? Is considered a valuable, accurate, this website. Considered a valuable, accurate, and reliable resource. Access is free and donation encouraged. While a thank you for my time and research answering emails is suggested, even written generosity is lacking. Ideas why? I mean, I'm curious where your customers are predominantly. Are they Americans, Europeans, where they're from? But I think we live in a, this is a downer, but we live in a very, in a culture that takes stuff for granted. It takes stuff for granted all over the place. We've become accustomed to producers producing and then us throwing them in jail and not really caring about it, or producing and then riling about how evil they are and how they're destroying our youth and they're destroying everybody else and everything else. The opposite of gratitude, hate towards those who produce. We'll also become accustomed to getting stuff for free. I mean, this is part of the value of all you guys on Patreon and in Super Chat and everywhere else. This is free. You could just listen and not contribute at all, right? And so we've just become used to just having values thrown at us. This is kind of the phenomena of wealth and success. Being wealthy, wealthy in terms of a culture makes it possible. So one of the things I value about you guys is most of you, recognize the fact that you're getting a value and are traders and want to trade value for value. You want to contribute because you're getting something. And I think a lot of people out there don't. Their sense of justice involves criticizing people when they're wrong, criticizing people for bad stuff they do. But there's no symmetry. And the more important part of justice, which is thanking people for the good that they do, recognizing their value, recognizing the value they provide in your own life, recognizing the good, the productive, the good things that they do, with a simple thank you sometimes, just a simple thank you. That is out. We live in a cynical world where people just accept stuff and they have no concept of justice. And this is the thing. It's all about justice. And since in our culture, justice is only about the negative, overwhelmingly about the negative, blame, ridicule, accusation. And what we need to teach people, and it's crucial to their own self-esteem, and this is my point, you need to be just. You need to know that you're just. To know that you're just, you need to not only go after people who have wronged you, but much more important, much more important, you need to go find the people who've contributed to your life and thank them. And thank them. And yeah, a simple thank you when you provide an answer to somebody or in an email or in a chat or in whatever it is. Just a simple thank you is so appreciated, so valuable. It's to the other person, but to you yourself. So Molten Spendler, I think it's just a sign of a decaying culture, a culture that's lost a sense of what justice actually means and the importance of justice for your soul. Objectivism believes that you make your own soul, you build your own soul. And the way you make your own soul is through acts like acts of justice. It's through living by your values. And one of those is justice. So to be just is to recognize the values people provide to you. At the very least, to say thank you. Yeah, and so somebody says it's also harder to have that thankful personality when you feel like people owe you stuff. Yes, and we live in a altruistic society. Generally, is a society where everybody thinks you owe them. You owe them. Mark, another $50 super chat. Thank you. Thanks for the Yaron Brook show. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Let's see. We'll go back to the questions, but let me see. There's a bunch of stickers. I saw a lot. Margaret, thank you for the sticker. Paul Ferris, thank you for the sticker. Let's see. Yes, there's Paul. There was Roland, thank you. Onsman, thank you. Darlene, thank you. Laid Back Pedal Pusher, thank you. I think I've caught everybody. Yes. All right. Eula asked, what is the difference between a Palestinian and the other Arabs in the Middle East? Why do some advocate a Palestinian state instead of suggesting that Gazans live in one of the other Islamic countries? I mean, there are a couple of things. One is people don't want to move. Many Gazans can link their home to many generations of people who've lived there. They're connected to the place. They like the place, I guess, and they don't want to move. Why should they move? So telling people you share the same ethnic background as these other countries, go live over there, give up your home, is not a particularly compelling thing to say. But it is true that many Palestinians actually, they don't have roots in the place, although it's not about how deep the roots are. It's just the fact that you live somewhere and you might want to stay there. But it is true that Palestinian nationalism, the idea of a Palestinian nation separate from other Arab nations and that should have its own state, is a new phenomenon. It's probably a phenomenon from the 1960s as a popular phenomenon. When Israel was founded, the dominant view among Arabs and in the decades afterwards, even the 50s, even in the 60s, was pan-Arabism, one big Arab state. Now, they'd want to have Israel as part of it because what the hell, what are the Jews doing here? It's kind of an eyesore to their dominance of the Middle East. The Arabs dominate the Middle East, and why are the Jews there? Why are the Jews dominating that particular place? So they're offended by that. But there was pan-Arabism. Islam doesn't believe in states. Islam is not statist. Islam believes in caliphate, in an empire. that rules the entire world. Now, in Islamic history, every caliphate has always broken down into states. Every empire has ultimately been fragmented into states, and because empires are too big to manage, and religion is not a good basis for a large state. But the reality is, the ideal for them is one state ruling over the whole world. It's a global state. So yeah, it's a good question. But in the 1960s, during the heyday of the PLO, 60s, 70s, 80s, Arab nationalism rose up, secular Arab nationalism, and came to dominate the Palestinian cause. The Palestinians are Arabs, but Arabs who lived in this area called Palestine, and therefore they want their own state. They don't want to share it with Jews. Jews came there. They're quote colonizers. So, they want a state. Nationalism came to the Arab world relatively late. Again, all of this was ruled by the Ottoman Empire. There were never states in this area before. States like Syria and Jordan and Iraq are all modern inventions, post-World War I, modern inventions, really inventions of the foreign powers who, the French and the British who defeated the Ottoman Empire. And at some point they figured, why not also Palestinian? There's no such thing as a Jordanian, really, in history. There's no such thing as a Syrian in history. Syria was a province of the Romans. It was the base from which the initial Islamic empire was ruled from, before it was Baghdad. This was under the Umayyads, who were the first dynasty to rule over Islam. But it wasn't a state in any kind of real way. So anyway. Lori, thank you for the show today. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Michael, when expressing your thanks to someone for what he means to you, remember to be as specific as you can about what he did and how it affected you. Thank you, Michael. That's great advice. That is great advice. Because otherwise it's floating. You want to be concrete. You want to make it personal. And to make it personal, you want to make it concrete. And it's more meaningful that way. And it doesn't sound like a bromide. Jennifer, oops, what did I do? Jennifer, Lucille Ball fought against racism. She once pulled her whole entourage out of a southern hotel because they didn't want her black maid there. Thank you for everything, Yaron. I'm so glad I met you 9 years ago. Thank you, Jennifer, and I'm glad you met me 9 years ago as well. I think Lucille Ball is hysterical, funny, and a tough lady who fought to have a career, fought, because she became a star, but fought to kind of control the production process, even though she was a woman and often relegated to kind of a second class. And I didn't know she fought against racism, but this doesn't surprise me. She was a woman of principle. Thank you, Jennifer. Jeffrey says, left my phone in an Uber a couple of days ago. Just got a new one. Please recap last 72 hours. I don't want to miss a thing. Everything Trump does sucks. And it's pathetic, incompetent, and anti-American. And yet, in spite of all of that, you should go for that second star and live the best life that you can and embrace the good in the world and be thankful for living in this amazing country that will probably be able to even survive Trump, which is quite an achievement. I think that summarizes the last 72 hours. Thank you, Jeffrey. And again, congratulations for renewing the star. All right. This is a question that is a holdover from yesterday, came in late yesterday. If a Democratic president is elected in 2028, should they engage in lawfare to try to imprison Trump for everything he did, or should they instead try to be a unifying figure that heralds a new era in America? I mean, God, there's a sense in which you want them to be a unifying figure. But what does it mean to be a unifying figure? To be unifying, you have to unify around values. You have to unify around ideas. You have to unify around content. It's useless to say, let's unite around what? What's the unity that's embraced here? And if you don't want to be a nationalist, it can't be blood and soil. It can't be because we're Americans. It has to be about something. What are we going to unite around? And that's a problem for a Democrat. So I don't know how a Democrat can unite us, because what values are they going to unite us around? What is it going to be? And of course, it could very well be that going after the corruption of the Trump administration is necessary for unity, because it's necessary for justice. So I don't call it lawfare. Lawfare suggests that it's wrong to do. I would call it justice, and we need to somehow, and I don't know how to do this because there's so much entangled here. We have to get back to the idea of the rule of law, and men are not above the law. Politicians, presidents, nobody's above the law, and people should suffer the consequences of their actions. And if they do something criminal, if they literally actually violate the law, they should be prosecuted for it. I don't believe that that's going to happen anytime soon, because you need a lot of courage and a real conception of what America is, and a real conception of justice to do it. But that's what I'd like to do. So I'd like to see both unity and justice. Andrew, I'm pro-participation trophies in youth sports, so long as trophies for winning are bigger, better than those for the losers. Trying to gain values is an achievement of will, and you deserve self-esteem for it. Thoughts? I mean, I don't know. Trophy sounds ridiculous. Ribbons, maybe? As long as there's a big difference between a winner and everybody else. So I think you're right. Participation is important, and just trying sometimes is enough for self-esteem. But recognizing the skill, the effort that winning requires is really important. So the difference has to be substantial. And we probably have too many trophies. Again, self-esteem comes from within, not from without. And once you realize it comes from within, how many trophies you have becomes less important. What's more important is you being able to recognize your own achievements. Robert, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. In Objectivism, we might not discuss gratitude as a separate virtue, but it's there in the fiction, the concept of productivity, trade, justice, benevolence, and more. Well, it's definitely a big part of justice. I mean, if you read Leonard Peikoff's Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand, OPA, the section on justice is dominated by, in a sense, gratitude, in recognition of the good, rather than just penalizing the evil or bad. So it's definitely in OPA. So but it should be emphasized more. Deepa with Diego, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, Diego. Simon, thank you to Yaron. Thank you, Simon. Really appreciate it. Gary, so thankful Yaron is here to spare me from drudging through the daily news to stay aware of current events. I'm glad you find it helpful, and that it saves you that drudgery, because it really is. It's not pleasant. Jason, I just like being around. I'm in many places. I'm thankful to have residency in 3 countries, but here on this show is some structure. Shoot us a few Thanksgiving movies to check out. Happy holidays. Ooh, Thanksgiving movies. Let's look this up on Google, and then I can share from the list. Thanksgiving movies. All right. Aren't they usually Thanksgiving movies? I give you one. Shenandoah. Shenandoah is a good movie for that sense. Yeah. 10 best Thanksgiving movies. Let's see what they come up with. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Super funny. Super funny. I don't know what. Oh, he's trying to get back to Thanksgiving dinner, to Thanksgiving with the family. and he's struggling. It's from the days where American comedies were actually funny. I don't know about that. Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, don't know. Rocky. There's a Thanksgiving scene in the original Rocky, and it's not exactly full of family fun and fuzzies. But yeah, Rocky is a good movie, so worth watching. Yeah, Rocky's fun. Rocky's fun. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, no, I don't know. Scent of a Woman. Scent of a Woman is that I did a thing. I did a review of Scent of the Woman on here. Yeah, over Thanksgiving dinner, he tells them how he got blind, how he was blinded. That's right. So there was a Thanksgiving dinner there. So, Scent of a Woman, I guess, is considered a Thanksgiving movie. I still come back to Shenandoah for the let's see, what else do we have? All right, let's see what this list has. Has Rockies, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles again. Scent of a Woman again. Knives Out. That's a fun movie. All right, I mean, there are not a lot of Thanksgiving movies. More Christmas movies, I guess. 70 best Thanksgiving movies. 70. God. The Gold Rush, Charlie Chaplin. Love The Gold Rush. I love Charlie Chaplin movies. So try that out. The Gold Rush. I'm just screening. Hannah and Her Sisters. That's Woody Allen from the 1970s or 80s. 86. So 80s. Let's see. I don't like that one. Yeah, I'm trying to see movies I like. Scent of a Woman makes this list as well. Don't know that. God. A lot of these movies are mediocre at best. You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail is based on my favorite Christmas movie, which is a very young Jimmy Stewart is in that movie. God. Somebody will remind me of the Ernst Lubitsch movie that You've Got Mail is based on, which is, I think, my favorite Christmas movie. And you're gonna tell me what the name of that movie is, because somebody has to know out there. Is Yaron Mossad? Definitely. I mean, is there any question? Definitely Mossad. Let's see. Somebody asked that in the chat. I don't know why we're talking about Christmas, Thanksgiving movies. Doesn't look like there's a lot of Thanksgiving movies. I mean, I just went down the list of 70 movies, and yeah, no, not much. Not much. The number one Thanksgiving movie is Gold Rush, according to this list. The Gold Rush, 1925, by Charlie Chaplin. Recommend it. Shop Around the Corner. I knew it would come to me. All right, Jimmy Stewart, Shop Around the Corner. It's my favorite Christmas movie. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful movie. So Ernst Lubitsch, Shop Around the Corner with Jimmy Stewart, and I forget the actress's name, but Ernst Lubitsch is the director. All right, let's see. Okay, we answered that. All right, laid back pedal pusher. Thankful for Jennifer because she sees me here even though I'm usually too slow to respond. There you go, Jennifer. MC Picos, I'm truly thankful for your visit in Modena. Me too. That was fun. It was one of the coolest days of my life. I appreciate that. Mirko, I really enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. And we need to connect about doing something in Italy in March or April. So if you're still interested in doing an event somewhere in Italy in March or April, let me know. I now have dates when I'm going to be in Europe and could make it out there. Alternatively in the summer, but those March, April are going to be good. Suneric, thank you, Yaron, for bringing the ideas of objectivism to life. I appreciate that. Okay, Raymond, it's a three-part question. My sources are news articles, which often don't cite stats or research, studies, which I have no idea how to validate, or just casual arguments. Thus, I feel impotent evaluating medical studies or news like the Uyghur genocide, CIA more trustworthy than the CCP, but I'm not a satellite analyst. How do you read a study, know if you can trust it? Also, how do you decide in domains you aren't expert in, whether to take doctor's advice? I mean, there are a number of things. One is, like in doctors, you want second and sometimes third or fourth opinions. You want to get a flavor of what's out there, what people are thinking. So you don't just follow one doctor. You want to follow more than one doctor, and you want to get a bunch of different opinions, and then you at the end have to judge it based on whether it makes sense, given your knowledge of your body and your knowledge of the issues. The beauty today is you can do a lot of research online. You can read stuff, even if you don't know, you can at least get a sense of what's going on so that you can make a more educated assessment of the different recommendations you're getting from doctors. It's hard to evaluate studies. Most people don't know what they're doing. They really, really, really don't, and they screw it up because statistics is hard. So one of the things to do is to find resources, find people who seem to approach these studies objectively. I don't know, Peter Attia, I think, is quite good. His analysis of statistics and why, for example, it's really difficult and almost impossible to do a good study on nutrition. The fact that he goes through this in his book, at least, and he goes through it sometimes on his podcast, on the extent to which these studies are hard, and because of designing them and then how you interpret the statistics, suggests to me that he's doing the work and he's thinking about it. And the reality is that you need to find people like that, people who actually do the work. There are a lot of charlatans out there who sell you a story that is not backed by scientific evidence. Indeed, I think most of the people doing nutrition today, or who claim absolute knowledge in nutrition, are charlatans who don't know what they're talking about, who don't have the statistical acumen to actually review the studies, or who are just lying to you. Many of them are just ignorant, but some of them are lying. And, so if somebody is making a strong claim about something, they need to have strong evidence for that claim. And, that's hard. And they need to show their work. And most of these people don't. So I want to see people who show their work and reference the studies and tell you what their approach is to statistics. And now I happen to know statistics, some, because I used to do statistical stuff. I've got a number, like 6 published papers in academic journals that do statistics. Right? And so I know something about statistics. And most studies can't be replicated. I mean, it's hard. So you got to find people who approach the data objectively and approach the results objectively. And I think there are a number of doctors, for example, on YouTube that seem to do that. They show you the studies, they look at the stats, they show you what's going on. They mention if the study contradicts other studies. They mention the fact that some studies are bad, some studies are good. I mean, I remember when ivermectin was a thing, right, during COVID. And Scott Alexander did this long essay analyzing every study that was done and giving, and coming to a conclusion about ivermectin. And then he was challenged by a bunch of people. So a year later or something, he did a follow-on where he reviewed all the new studies about ivermectin. It came to the same conclusion, that don't take it for COVID. But that kind of detailed analysis it blew me away. I mean, it was really impressive. And I think he was right or based on kind of his analysis of the different, he literally tore up the study. So if you have cancer and you think about, okay, who should I listen to? What kind of treatment should I get? Should I just go on a paleo, on a keto diet and that'll solve it? Find doctors who know the literature, who are willing to share their analysis with you and actually show you the work and why they hold the view that they view. And ask them questions if you've heard about, I don't know, now it's, I guess the latest, greatest treatment for cancer is ivermectin. So ask them about it. Don't be shy. If you think there's any validity to it. I happen to not think there's any validity to it, so I'm not going to even ask. But if you thought that there was, because you watched, what's his name, that brilliant scientist by the name of Mel Gibson. Yeah, I mean, anybody who writes doctors are idiots, as Nate just did, are idiots. I mean, that is an idiotic, stupid thing to say. It shows unbelievable, unimaginable ignorance of doctors. You hope you don't need them, because you're going to need them some point in your life. And having that attitude is not going to help you. Not going to help you at all. And it's exactly that. I'm incredibly grateful for all the amazing, great doctors that exist out there. General practitioners are idiots. Another stupid, ignorant generalization that is based on nothing, based on a cult that worships a certain view of nutrition, I guess, and diet and stuff. But it's just stupid. I know so many great general practitioners. It's just stupid, to have these kind of generalizations. All right, Raymond, I'm a second-generation Chinese immigrant to Canada. It is common for my relatives, like my dad, to deny the Uyghur genocide. They argue it doesn't exist, is a Western media conspiracy, and most journalists have gone, or you aren't a satellite expert, so you don't know. I know it about as certainly as World War II. I read it. I'm not going to Normandy, but every historical event cites, how can I know? Now, I mean, World War II, you know more than you do the Uyghur, and you should have more certainty around, because there's just more ways to verify it, and more people who verified it, and the people who lived through it that are witnesses, that you could fly and interview them if you wanted to, if you weren't so sure. The thing with the Uyghurs is you would really have to do a lot of research to get to the level of certainty as World War II. So you have to recognize that there's some uncertainty around it. What do they mean exactly by genocide? What is actually going on? Are they re-education camps? Are they killing them? That is, are they literally wiping them out like the Nazis did in World War II? That I don't know. I have a high level of confidence that they're sending them to re-education camps, and they're imprisoning a lot of people, and that is going on. Whether you consider that genocide or not, I think genocide is an overused statement. But look, it's a question of research. You could find Chinese dissidents who are Uyghurs who live in the United States, and you could go and get firsthand accounts from them. And so all the evidence suggests that something really bad is going on with the Uyghurs. Whether it's out and out genocide, the eradication of a people, I don't know. But I know that something really bad is going on, and is, given the history of terrorism on behalf of the Uyghurs, I'm not surprised that China's really clamped down on them and trying to re-educate them and trying to get them away from religion. The Chinese are very afraid of Islamism, and they're trying to reorient them towards I don't know, secular communism or whatever their ideology happens to be at the moment. But it's hard. You have to do a lot of research, read firsthand accounts, and then you have to be honest with yourself about the degree to which you are confident in something. Here's what Nate writes, right? Because this is important, I think. If the world is so irrational, like Yaron says, what are the odds science and medicine use proper epistemology? Well, I mean, here's the reality. Reality is that you live in a world in which every single day people are producing things based on new knowledge, that are producing things that work and that function, that don't break down immediately. People are constantly pushing the envelope on knowledge, on technology, on innovation, on new things. If the world is irrational as you pretend to claim that I claim, then none of that would happen. Silicon Valley couldn't exist. Science breakthrough that are happening all the time. We're learning new scientific facts all the time. Couldn't exist because scientists couldn't do their job. Indeed, if people were that irrational, how is it that we can drive on the highways at 80 miles an hour and have so few accidents? I mean, you'd think that they'd be stupid enough to try to cut each other off and cause mass casualty events on a regular basis. How do people do anything? So you're misinterpreting the way I think about the way the world is irrational and the degree to which people are compartmentalized. But I am incredibly thankful to those people out there who are using their minds, creating great products, innovating, building new stuff, and using their mind effectively in order to do that. Some of them are doctors, some of them are scientists, some of them are technologists. Next, Nate is going to tell me that man never landed on the moon, because how could you land on the moon? The culture is so irrational. They could never do that kind of technology and actually get people on the moon. And my guess is that Starlink doesn't exist, and neither does, what are those rockets that land back and are caught, the whole Elon Musk thing. So I don't know what I don't know what anybody's talking about. So the idea that the world's irrational, we can't trust scientists, we can't trust doctors, we can't trust technologists, we can't trust entrepreneurs, we can't trust innovators or inventors or anybody. I mean, because the world's irrational. I mean, that's just dumb. It's just dumb. You should rethink your perception of the world if you buy into that. Life expectancy has doubled last 100 years. Somebody's responsible for that. Treatment of cancer is getting better every day. I mean, there's so many things that science and medicine are doing, and there's some excellent. What do you call it? What did he call it? General physicians out there, family doctors, however you want to call it, generalists. There's some excellent ones. You probably have to pay more to get access to them, but they're out there. So, these generalizations are silly, just silly. You got to stop them. And again, look around, smell the roses. Look at the beautiful world in which we live. Be thankful. Thankful. All the amazing stuff that we have. Don't gloss over it because, I don't know, you've read something that you've become excited about. You read Ayn Rand, or you read some doctor's website that tells you he has the truth and nobody else does. Beware. Think. Use your mind. And be thankful. Go out, smell the roses, and then come back in and eat a big meal. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for giving me feedback. Thank you for making it interesting for me. Thank you. Bye, everybody.